Not too bad. Not too bad. I mean, my
Did you have a good
Masters.
weekend?
Yeah, the Masters pool didn't go the way I wanted it to for me, but other than that, I'm doing all right.
Okay, so the Masters pool is a good one. Let's start there in case people haven't heard the show. Where the hell you been? No, I'm just kidding. Thank you. Andy and his buddies get together every year. Do you do the stuff for the Masters or do you do it for every major? How does that
It's
work?
just for the Masters, pretty much of this pool. We don't do
All
it
right,
for any
so
of the majors.
all right, so here's the pool, folks. They get an American player, they get an international player, they get a repeat champion or a past champion, they get a first timer, and they get a wild card. So they have 5 choices. Now they can double up the choices, which, and I'm not part of the group because it's a very exclusive group. You have to wear an
That's
ascot,
not true.
you have to be able to smoke cigars, you have to have your own winery, and you have to be able to sit down and speak a different language. So I don't do any of those. So it's a very exclusive club
These are the kind
for
of things
Andy and his buddies
that are just not actually true. Just want to let everybody know
so
that.
so he picks 5 players and you can double them up. In other words, his buddies can also pick similar players. Andy chose Bryson DeChambeau as his American. He didn't make the cut. So that's not a good thing. In other words, minus in golf is good, minus in picking a player is not good. He picked Rory McIlroy, your champion, as his past champion. That's a pretty smart move. He was a minus 12. He picked an international player, as in Sanjay M. Is that true?
That is
Did
correct.
I write that down correct?
Yep, that is correct.
And how did Sanjay M do?
He ended up
He
making
was
the
a
cut,
plus.
but
He
it
was
was a tough first day for him. He did really bad the first day, and that kind of hampered him the rest of the weekend. But
Yeah, he was a +3.
Yep.
His wild card, which I don't think is a wild card personally, but it was Scotty Scheffler. And Scotty Scheffler was a minus 11. That's pretty damn good too. And his first timer was, my apologies, I forget Lapadecki's first name.
It's FIFA.
It's FIFA. He missed the cut.
I would like to forget it too, just because of the fact that was what absolutely killed me in this bracket. I picked the champion and the runner-up, and I still finished near the bottom because he went like plus 15.
Right. So you were a minus 20, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
You would think, but apparently not enough. I picked, and I played along just on the radio. I picked Scotty Scheffler, who was a minus 11. I picked John Rahm. That wasn't a great pick on my part. I thought he might actually challenge. He was a +1. All right. I picked Robert McIntyre. Why? I had Rory down as my international player, and I chose Robert McIntyre because I wanted to get cute. Sometimes the best thing to do is the simplest thing to do. Sometimes the best thing to do is just stay with your gut. Well, as soon as you start changing things, when you do TV oftentimes the best take is the first take. It's not too dissimilar from this type of choice. Just take the right choice. Robert McIntyre missed the cut. Not good. I picked Justin Rose as my wild card, and I thought that was a good pick. It turned out to be, I think, a pretty good pick. He at one point was leading the tournament and then fell back a little bit. He was a minus 10, and I picked Chris Gotterup as my first timer, and I'm looking for how Chris Gotterup did.
Really good. That was a good pick. At least yesterday he struggled a little bit, I think, but he was the main reason that like the person who won our thing kind of won, because the first timer was killing everybody for the most part, is what it seemed like in my group.
Chris Gotterup was a minus 2,
which is
all right.
It's pretty good.
So I finished a minus 21. What did it take to win the pool for you in your group?
Minus 25 was our winner.
Minus 25.
So you would have been in there till the end.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I only finished one better than you, man.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you didn't feel like you did very well, then how good can I feel about how poorly I may have done?
You're not first or last. That's what they say.
But I will say this, Andy. I think that's a really cool thing. I think it's something we should institute, and maybe we can, do it for the majors. You and your buddies can get involved. We can get listeners involved in too. They can do it on the stream if they want to, because we stream live on YouTube and on X and on Facebook. And maybe we can get some of our golfing partners I'm thinking Tullymore possibly involved in something like this moving forward. So it's a great idea.
This is never going to put me down. I'm definitely back for another one.
Yeah, good. I love this. I love it. Very good. As a matter of fact, I give you full props because I told a lot of my friends over the weekend, and they were pretty excited about it too. I was playing on Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon with some friends. Although one of my buddies, then we'll get to the sports. Trust me. One of my buddies was wearing jeans on Saturday. What's the attitude about wearing jeans on the golf course?
You know,
I as a golf snob yourself.
I used to not care. That was like I went to Kennewick Hills High School here in Grand Rapids, which is it's a little bit more out towards the country. The course I played at over there was like, one of those crappy ones you play for $20, whatever. Jeans was normal there. Now that I've gotten more into playing everywhere else, I'm totally against it. I feel like you gotta cut those out.
Well, I'm against it too, for more than maybe what some people may think of the snobbery of what golf. I don't think they're comfortable.
No, that's also true. Golf. That's what I figured out very quickly.
Yeah, if I don't know many, I can't think of many pieces of clothing I wear to do yard work and play golf at the same time. I just don't do that. You wear jeans, oftentimes cruddy jeans, but jeans to wear around when you cut the grass and when you do edging and when you do all these different things, right? Or like when I was aerating my lawn over the weekend. But to wear it to play golf to me seems a little strange. But speaking of golf, I'm sure you watched it. The Masters goes to Rory McIlroy, as we mentioned. He holds on to win his second straight Masters. He carded a 71 on Sunday, all right, and finished a 12 under par, one better than Scotty Scheffler, who just did something that no one in Masters history had ever done since 1942. You know what that is? What did Scotty Scheffler do that nobody had done at the Masters since 1942? He had a bogey-free weekend. 9 birdies, 1 eagle, no bogeys over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Obviously, that was not the case on Thursday and Friday. Thursday killed him. I mean, he was way behind. At one point, I believe 12 strokes back. But he made a massive charge. And there was a putt, was it on 17, that looked like from the camera angle behind the hole, it looked like it was going right in the middle of the hole. And then it slightly moved to the left and stayed off the lip. Otherwise, they would have been playing a playoff. McIlroy, by the way, becomes the 4th player to ever win back-to-back green jackets. And the others he joins, golf royalty. Nicklaus, Faldo, and Tiger Woods. I mentioned Justin Rose a minute ago and how he was leading the tournament. We'll tell you what did him in. We'll recap the Tigers, the Pistons, but we will also, unfortunately, discuss the negativity associated with one specific team in the state, the Detroit Red Wings. That's coming up on a Monday morning here on X's and Bros. We're brought to you this hour by our friend Mitch Lyons and Mitch Lyons Wealth.
You've worked hard for decades saving in pre-tax retirement plans like 401ks and IRAs, saving on taxes now. But as your retirement now approaches, you're going to get taxed at rates you have no control over. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. Your 401k balance isn't worth what your statement says. You could lose thousands of dollars to taxes, and those distributions can impact other areas of your retirement like Social Security and Medicare. Could a Roth IRA conversion be of help to you? You've probably heard of Roth conversions, but it can be confusing. Should you convert all at once or over time? Where should you pay the taxes from? How do you know for sure? Get our free personalized Roth Blueprint analysis today to find out exactly what makes sense for you. Your Roth Blueprint could potentially increase your lifetime wealth by thousands of dollars. So get your free Roth Blueprint today. Text Blueprint to 844-867-8335. That's Blueprint to 844-867-8335. Or go to MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at FreddieThePizzaMan.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit FreddieThePizzaMan.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI, thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Van Andel Institute Purple Community is a grassroots fundraising network powered by the dedicated volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve human health now and in the future. When you raise funds through the Van Andel Institute Purple Community, 100% of the proceeds go directly to the Institute's research into diseases like cancer and Parkinson's, as well as VAI's science education programs. Learn how you can get involved at purplecommunity.org.
and the weather is starting to turn, which is fantastic. Love that, without question. Saw a lot of people on the golf course, a lot of people walking, a lot of people shedding the heavy exterior. Get rid of the damn coats for a while, right? Excited for that. We talked a little bit about the Masters just prior to the break. I'd mentioned that Justin Rose is one of those guys who, he grabbed the lead for a little bit. And considering he was a 3-time runner-up and last year lost in the playoff, really thought it might be one of those situations where he seizes the moment. Rory McIlroy wasn't playing real well. He was driving the ball really well Thursday and Friday, but even he admitted afterwards that my short game, the approach shots and the putter really saved him, which goes to show you, what's that old saying? You drive for show, you putt for dough. If you can putt, if you can chip and putt, the game is going to be a lot more enjoyable. If you can't, you're in deep trouble. I don't care how far you hit the ball. You've got to be able to have a short game. Rose had a 2-shot lead, and it evaporated. He made bogey on the par 4 11th. The first in Augusta National's famous 3-hole stretch. That's that amen corner, okay? He pushed his approach shot way to the right. He had a chip over the bunker and missed a 15-footer for par. On the par 3 11th, he went long and left. He chunked his chip shot, which left his ball in the rough. He putted to, which was interesting that he putted from there, but he putted to within 5 feet. He bogeyed there, and then he ended up trailing McIlroy by 1. So that was the area that really hurt him. The Tigers hurt Miami over the weekend. Yesterday, exploded for 12 hits, 3 bombs. First sweep of the year. Dingler goes yard, his third. Carpenter goes yard, his third. McGonigal goes yard, his first. Meanwhile, Tarek Skubal throws 6 2/3 innings of 2 hits, 7 strikeout ball. With, I don't know why I always look at the pitch count with Tarek Skubal, with 96 pitches. Since the start of 2024, he's 19-2 with a 2 ERA and 32 starts at home. That is the lowest ERA and tied for the most wins in the American League. Based on what the Tigers put, 19-2, 2.06, 32 starts at home going into the game. So obviously it's better than that now. 20-2. They're off today. They get the Royals on Tuesday. And I love watching the Royals because I love watching Bobby Witt Jr. Did you see over the weekend? I don't know if you noticed this, Andy. I don't know how much of other baseball teams you follow, but did you see his catch? Was it Friday night or Saturday? I forget which one. His catch at shortstop?
I did not catch that, no.
Dude, it was unbelievable. There's a still photo of him. And he is literally parallel to the ground while making a backhanded grab at shortstop.
That's insane. I mean, he's done it time and time again, it seems like. That guy's just a heck of an athlete.
I just... who's the player? Let me ask you this. While you were growing up, who's the player on another team? Not your own team. Your favorite player on another team.
Oh,
and I know some people may...
question.
There are certain guys who have hurt your team you're not going to like. How people can like LeBron James after what he did to the Pistons of the Palace while he played for the Heat is beyond me, okay? But what is it, or which player your team used to play against that you madly respect and ended up liking him as a player? It's hard to do that with a guy like Jordan for me because of the heartache that he gave the Pistons. I respect the hell out of him, but it's hard. It's hard for me to do that with any Celtic because of the disappointment that you had, whether it be Dantley and Johnson butting heads, whether it be the steal by Bird and the toss to Dustin Johnson or Dennis Johnson to lay it up and in. That's a hard thing. All right. But who's that one player who played against your team that you really admired and you ended up liking in general? Because I think for some Tigers fans today, it might be a guy like Bobby Witt, if you're paying attention to, the Royals at all.
I feel like Jose Ramirez would be another one of those names right now that would definitely bug a lot of people here, but they also respect him at the same time.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
I would agree with that. He doesn't have to be great. I'm just wondering if there's a player who you see who might be that.
Well, right now. I don't know why I'm blanking on some of the names, but it'd be like some of the players, at least in baseball, it'd be some of the players that played for like the Guardians or Indians at the time, or the White Sox when they had some of those really good teams. I have no idea why the names are blanking on me right now. But there's definitely a few from those teams in the past that would always. I mean, just it seemed like the guys that would just always hit every single time they played against the Tigers.
Yeah, like guys like Paul Konerko maybe or somebody like that.
That's a name. I remember Jim Thome being a name that
Jim Thome,
he
for
was
sure.
he was a great player back then. Trying to think of
well, let me give you a quick thought here on Bobby Witt Jr. because he's one of those guys. My oldest boy is a massive baseball fan. He just loves baseball, and I love that about him. So he and I talk baseball quite a bit. He was a really good player growing up too. So he and I were talking, and he said, look, he loves Bobby Witt Jr., as do I. And they lost to the White Sox yesterday, 6-5. I don't know how good they're going to be, but they played 16 games. Bobby Witt Jr. has reached base 28 times. Already leads the league in stolen bases. So he leads his team on base 28 times. Guess how many runs he's scored? In 16 games, he's reached on base 28 times. How many times do you think he scored? Just guess.
Out of 28 times that he's been on base?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with 20.
20. Wow. 1.
Yeah, it's not it then.
Is that crazy?
It is. It's nuts.
So they don't have people who can drive people in. It's an issue that they've had. And perhaps, there's no doubt. I mean, people in Kansas City, if they're that passionate, and I would think they would be, since they've basically got the Chiefs and the Royals, they'd be talking about the Royals quite a bit. Kansas City and the Tigers tied at 7-9. Here's the difference. Detroit is a +10 in run differential. You're going to hear me talk about that all year long. I talk about it in football. I talk about it in hockey all the time. Look at the hockey situation. The Red Wings give up more goals than they score. That's not a recipe for success. Cleveland right now tied with Minnesota at 9-7 because Minnesota swept Detroit in a 4-game series. Cleveland's a -9. That is not sustainable. Detroit at least is a +10 in run scoring. If I asked you which team leads the AL Central in run scoring differential, you wouldn't say the Tigers, but it is the Tigers. They're a +10.
That's crazy what one weekend can kind of do for you, it feels like, too.
Exactly. Nobody has outscored their opposition more than the Atlanta Braves. They are a +46 already this year. Think about that. A +46. I know it's early. I get it. But that is almost unheard of this early in the season. And last year, Atlanta was a -10 in that same category. So just some quick update there on what's going on in the world of baseball. The Pistons earned their 60th win of the season. What an unreal season. That's the third time that this franchise has ever seen 60 wins. And they do it. They don't let off the gas at all. 133-121. They beat the Pacers in Indiana. Every Piston who played scored. Paul Reed had 26. He was perfect from the floor. 11 for 11. 4 of 4 from the line. It's a franchise record. It's the most field goals made and attempted in franchise history. The previous was 10 for 10 for anybody who attempted at least that many. Most field goals made without a miss in franchise history. Tobias Harris had 24. Detroit scored a season best 81 in the first half. They open on Sunday against who? We don't know yet. A pink slip in basketball and the Mitch Lanswell poll question on the other side. Stay with us. We're glad you're with us on a Monday morning.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archived boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Hear that? That's the sound of saving a good deal more when you shop with M-Perks at Meijer. Some delicious Cosmic Crisp apples, money saved. Meijer Essential Paper Towels, that's money saved. Savings, savings, savings. Because every dollar spent is also points earned in M-Perks, which you can use to save on your next grocery trip or up to $1 off per gallon on your next tank of gas. At Meijer, we work hard to help you save a good deal more for a whole lot less. That's bringing more good to life. Exclusions apply. See mperks.com for details.
Coming up later today at 3 on The Huge Show on the Michigan Sports Network, I'll deliver huge opinions on everything you're talking about.
Again, it's one of those things that you don't think about, right? You just do the job every single day, and that's what this organization has allowed us as coaches to do. It's allowed us to coach the team the way that we best see fit, to work hard with them, and then the guys developed and got better. And none of the stuff that happens without their development, without their growth. And so for me, it's just fun to be a part of being able to see that, and especially because of the character of the guys that we have on the team, to see them grow, to see them develop, to see them improve, is special for me.
14-44, 44-60. It's JB Bickerstaff, Pistons head coach. He's done it at times without Cade Cunningham. He's done it at times without Jalen Duren. He's done it at times without Isaiah Stewart. Every team is going to miss certain players, right? Not every team is going to be able to have their full complement of players on every single night. Most people get that, all right? If you look at a lot of the contenders, Boston finishes 4 games back of the Pistons. Jaylen Brown played 71 games out of 82, all right? So that's just putting it in perspective. Sure, Javonte Green played 82 games. That's awesome. He played every single game this season. He's a reliable dude. I love that about him. I don't know how you can't. You look at how many games played certain people have, and you wonder, how much of it is rest, how much of it is it injury. So every coach is dealing with it. All right. Look at JJ Redick. He's dealing with it because Luka Doncic only played, 64 games. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander played 68 games. Anthony Edwards played 61. Tyrese Maxey, really good player, played 69 games. So we get that. But what JB Bickerstaff has done, I think is, and maybe it's just because we're so close to it, what he's done that's been more impressive, I think, than just about anybody else is the culture that he's been able to instill. And I know sometimes that word culture gets overused. It does. A lot of people use it. Anytime there's a bad situation, we think it's culturally and that you have to change the culture, when oftentimes it's more like you got to get some talent. He needed both because the culture was rotten under Monty Williams. It was a laissez-faire. I don't care that much. You say what you want about Tom Gores. We've said this before. The owner of the Pistons made a mistake by bringing in certain people, including Monty Williams. He was viewed as a very good coach in the NBA, and Tom Gores gave him more money than anybody else. And you cannot say that about Tom Gores. There's the one thing you can't say about the Pistons owner is that he's not willing to spend money, because that's bull crap. Monty Williams, he noticed right away, wasn't going to work. And you got a guy in here who is not just passionate, but he's also a teacher. And he helped these players get better. The young players are ascending for a reason. Sure, talent is a big part of it, but because of the coaching as well. And it's not just JB Bickerstaff, as you know, it's many Pistons assistants too. So they deserve an awful lot of credit. But that culture, Trajan Langdon, JB Bickerstaff, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, put them in a mixing bowl, and it's the perfect recipe for success. And it's been that way for the last 2 years. I know some people weren't real happy that the Pistons didn't make a quote-unquote bigger move at the trade deadline, but 60 wins is really hard in the NBA. And 60 wins doesn't guarantee anything. Ask Cleveland from a year ago, all right? If you look at that situation, you would have thought the Cleveland Cavaliers, based on their regular season, would have been an NBA champion, because 60 wins this year leads the East. But last year, 60 wins would have been 4 back. Last year, Cleveland had 64. Boston had 61 in the East. Last year, Oklahoma City had 68. And Cleveland didn't get there. Indiana, who won 50 games, got there. 50. So what I love most about this quote-unquote culture is that JB Bickerstaff and his team, first of all, have played a playoff style of basketball for most of the season. Hard-nosed defense, right? Hard closeouts, good movement of the basketball, things like that. All right. And they've been playing with great depth. Everybody's contributing. I don't know how that's going to change in the postseason. My guess is you don't go. Usually it's an 8 to 9 man rotation. You're not going 12, 13 men deep. So I don't know how that's going to change for JB Bickerstaff. He's got an entire week to figure that out. A lot of it will be based off matchups. So they've played a playoff style, but they have, sure, everybody has hiccups. For the most part, kept their proverbial pedal to the metal. They haven't let anything up. They're on a winning streak. It doesn't matter. They're playing the same way. They have some type of losing performance over a certain period of time. They get back to the drawing board. They get back to the basics. They get back to work, and they rectify it. There's a lot of teams that once they secured the number 1 seed in the conference could have just said, let's cruise. Okay. It's not a Florida Georgia line concert, but let's cruise and just finish things up. And then we'll reignite for the postseason. The Pistons actually hit the postseason as hard and as, playing as effectively as they did during the regular season at certain periods. They've won 8 of their last 10. They're on a 3-game mini roll. Nobody in the East has been more consistent, which is obvious, but nobody in the East is playing better basketball right now than your Detroit Pistons. You could make the argument outside of Denver and probably Houston. Clippers have been really good. I don't know if Clippers were 15 games under 500 at one point. And Tyronn Lue and company said, our goal here is to move forward and go 35-20. And a lot of people laughed. You know what he did over the last 55 games? He went 36-19. So the Clippers have been feeling that as they move, but they're in a play-in game at 9, but they're just in it. Okay, they're a couple games over 500 is how they finished. What the Pistons have done is that they have almost recognized, it's almost like a routine. Have you heard people say you got to get in a certain routine if you want to have a good life, getting certain life habits, right? So you wake up, you do your job for a little bit, then you go to the gym. You eat right and all this other stuff. You want to get in that routine. Here's the Pistons routine. We win. How do we win? We win with defense. We win with rebounding. We win with sharing the basketball. We win with one more pass to get the best shot. We win with unselfish play. And that's what you're seeing today. You saw it at the beginning of the season. You saw it in the middle of the season. And you're seeing it at the end of the season. Let's hope we see it in the postseason as well. Really good soundbite there from JB Bickerstaff. One of the many things that they've accomplished, but really important for them to keep pushing. So I love that. Here's the Mitch Lanswell poll question. Should Steve Yzerman be fired? As general manager of the Red Wings, should Steve Yzerman be fired? It's a simple yes or no. I have seen plenty of people, because I think it's the easy thing to do in sports radio, you guys, is to just be negative. I truly believe that. And that's why we wanted to at least talk a little bit about the Masters, talk a little bit about the Pistons, and a little bit about the Tigers. And Kevin McGonigal with his first home run, you're going to hear his name a lot this year, rightfully so. He's a really good player. I don't know how special he is yet. I'm not going to get overboard, but he's a really good player. And I've been impressed with his defense so far, for sure. But you know what he's done? He's done some stuff that I think a lot of people would be surprised at with, so far, his 16-game resume. It's not complete. It's not even close. He's going to go through some tough times. He's the kind of kid, though, mentally and physically, I think, who will get through it. In 16 games, he leads the Tigers in runs scored. We were just talking about Bobby Witt being on base 28 times in the first 16 games for Kansas City, but only scoring 1 run. Kevin McGonigal has scored 11 runs. Leads the Tigers in that category. He leads the Tigers in on-base percentage. He leads the Tigers in on-base plus slugging, which tells you he also leads the team in slugging. He leads the Tigers in hits, and he leads the Tigers in triples, whatever. His strikeout to walk ratio is fantastic. I mean, this is a kid who has really looked like he's belonged at the major league level for a long, long time. So we've talked about that too. Here's the negative side of what took place over the weekend. And Again, it's not like I enjoy talking about it, but it's reality. It's the Red Wings situation. They are the second team in NHL history to have 69 points or more in the first 53 games and miss the playoffs. The Canadians in 1969-70 had 69 points in their first 53 games and missed the playoffs. They were the first to do it and the only one to do it until Detroit this year. So you can be emotionally attached to the Pistons for how good they've played all year. You love their gas level. That's a give a blank effort. You love how much they care. You love their effort, their style, their passion, their energy. Night to night, 82 games, depth, all of them getting it done. Easier to score and create that energy in basketball than it is in hockey. There's no question. But you like their style of play in general. The Red Wings, 82 games, frustrate the hell out of you. And for good reason. How in the world, after you come off a big win, knowing that you have to win out, you don't have to go to websites. You don't have to look at a paper online. You don't have to have somebody tell you. You know it. You've lived it all season long. You've lived through the disappointment through March and through this so far this in April. So you know damn well what it's going to take. I'm sure your coaches, your teammates, your friends, your family, no matter what, you can't get away from it. You guys got to win out. New Jersey comes to town. It's fan appreciation night. Whatever. Okay? Not that that should generate a ton of energy from you. You should have enough energy knowing if there's only way we snap this 9 years playoff less drought. We got to beat New Jersey. And then you crap the bed. And it goes back to time and time, way too often for the last 2 months, where we have seen this team not play like it truly cares. And that is more frustrating for Red Wing fans than anything else.
And that you kind of brought up the Pistons as like an example of that. I think that the other important part of that is like the buy-in, that they have with that team, because they all do play together like that every single night. Like they've been able to buy into how JB Bickerstaff wants to run that team. When you watch this Red Wings teams play, I'm not saying that it's Todd McClellan's fault, because I do think he's a good coach. I just wonder if these players reciprocate well with what he's preaching and if that works, because it just doesn't seem like when you're constantly getting these leads late in games, sometimes they're just down. But they had plenty of times over the last month and a half, like you mentioned, where they blew a late lead or, were tied, and then they came back and tied, but then gave up a late one against Minnesota, like that kind of stuff. It happens time and time again. You have to wonder, is it a player issue? Is it a coach issue? Is it somewhere in between? Whatever is going with the Pistons is all going right? They all reciprocate well with it. Seems to be the opposite with the Red Wings.
Yeah, I agree with all that. They've had the lead with 10 minutes to go this year, and went on to lose 5 games this season after leading with all but 10 minutes left.
And if you even go to overtime in some of those in hockey, you're getting points to stack up and be there at the end,
Yeah, four of those games have happened since the early March. Okay. I understand why people will look at the coaching. All right. And I understand that they get a little frustrated at how the coaches handled certain things. I've always found this interesting. Fans are willing to call out players. If a coach agrees with you and calls out players, you are offended by that because he's saying it publicly. I don't think he's calling them out by name. He's calling them out as a group, and I think that's okay. Even though I believe in praising in public, criticizing in private, you do that with individuals. If your team's not performing, are you trying to sugarcoat things to us when we see it on a regular basis? And then what would we end up saying? How in the world are you trying to tell me something when I can see it with my own eyes that that's not happening at all? The Red Wings, you can blame the coach if you want. But remember, you did that with Derek Lalonde, and you did that with Jeff Blashill. At some point, the players have to be held accountable. At some point, you have to look into this situation and go, maybe that line is the problem. Maybe this lack of depth at this position is the problem. Now, is the coach putting him in the right positions to succeed? Because that's what good coaches do. It could be much more detailed than you and I truly recognize. Do you blame a coach for not being able to motivate a player? Is it Todd McClellan's job at the professional level to motivate his team when his team knows with 3 games left they cannot mess up any longer?
I mean, yeah, it's technically his job for sure.
Why does a player? I don't want players who need to be motivated in that situation.
No, they shouldn't have to be. That is correct.
Okay, then yeah. So let's be careful with Todd McClellan. You're gonna keep changing coaches until the players start to respond to that coach instead of the players responding in general. I mean, how many hangers on do you need? And is Steve Yzerman, this goes back to our Mitch Lyonswell poll question, Steve Yzerman, how much is he to blame too? On January 25th, I would remind people, the Red Wings had the most points in the Eastern Conference. The probability rate of the Red Wings on January 25th of making the playoffs was 89.5%.
And yet we're here again at the end of the same movie. I mean, it's the same thing.
Collapse.
It's crazy.
What's a worse collapse? The Tigers from a year ago and blowing their lead, or the Red Wings not making the playoffs at all from having a 89.5% probability on January 25th.
It's not the discussion you'd expect to have within the same 365 days. That's
Correct.
for sure.
And with those two franchises. And the reason we asked the question about Yzerman, I think it's fair. 2019, they missed the playoffs. 20, they missed the playoffs. 21, missed the playoffs. 22, missed the playoffs. 23, missed the playoffs. 24, missed the playoffs. 25, missed the playoffs. This year, missed the playoffs. That's the Steve Yzerman era so far as general manager. Their bottom 6 stink. They do. From a National Hockey League perspective, they stink. I think their defense, their top 2 pairings are good. I would be encouraged with that. Moving forward next year, Mo Seider, Simon Edvinsson. You know, Simon Edvinsson's a big guy. I'd like him to be more physical. He's not very physical. But whatever, all right? Seider's been incredible with a plus-minus and with how many minutes he logs. And then you'll have Justin Falk and Ben Sherratt. I feel fine with those top 4. I feel fine with the top 6 forwards, quite honestly. It does beg this question. While we talk about Yzerman and we talk about McClellan, what about leadership? How do you decipher whether or not you have the right leaders? We'll get into that on the other side. Mitch Lyons will join us 7:18 for Mondays with Mitch. Plus your hero and heel at 8:18 on X's and Bros.
Huge here for Josh Garvey and his team at Dorn Mayhew. Now, Josh oversees the West Michigan operations. Dorn Mayhew's worldwide headquarters are in Troy, Michigan on the east side of the state. They are one of the top accounting, CPA, and business firms in the world. They continue to grow. They can help your business with any accounting, CPA, or business need you have. And also Dorn Mayhew and Josh and the West Michigan operation, they present Talking Hoops with John Beeline. We do it every Tuesday on the Huge Show through the NBA Finals. So how far will the Pistons go in the playoffs? You can hear Coach Beeline, Josh Garvey, and myself every Tuesday on the Huge Show as we talk hoops, presented by one of the world's top accounting, CPA, and business firms, Dorn Mayhew. Josh Garvey oversees the West Michigan operation. Their worldwide headquarters for Dorn Mayhew are in Troy, Michigan.
Hear that? That's the sound of saving a good deal more when you shop with M-Perks at Meijer. Some delicious Cosmic Crisp apples, money saved. Meijer Essential Paper Towels, that's money saved. Savings, savings, savings. Because every dollar spent is also points earned in M-Perks, which you can use to save on your next grocery trip or up to $1 off per gallon on your next tank of gas. At Meyer, we work hard to help you save a good deal more for a whole lot less. That's bringing more good to life. Exclusions apply. See mperks.com for details. The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kirk Gibson, who we are proud to support and partner with on the newly opened Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness.
Thanks, Mitch. We appreciate your support, and we are excited to have recently opened the center in Farmington Hills. It provides exercise therapy and educational programs that are helping the Parkinson's community, just like Mitch Lyons Wealth helps improve the quality for their clients' retirements. This center helps improve the quality of life for people with Parkinson's.
And Gibby, the best part of all is that access to the center is available to the Parkinson's community free of charge, right?
That's right, absolutely free of charge for people with Parkinson's and their care partners.
You hit a couple of the most famous home runs in Major League history, Gibby, but I feel that your greatest hit will be the positive impact the Kirk Gibson Center is making in the fight against Parkinson's.
Mitch, since my diagnosis, I get up every day and focus on winning that day. This center encourages others to do the same.
Awesome, Gibby. To learn more, go to kirkgibsoncenter.org.
This is Detroit. This is hockey town. I've been lucky enough to be on the other side of it when they couldn't stop cheering for this team, and they're dying for that. They crave that. That's what they want. And I don't even know if they want a Stanley Cup championship anymore. They just want a team that's going to come and give them something to cheer about. And this outside noise stuff or whatever, that's inside noise. Those are our fans in our building. And they pay to watch us play, and we get paid well to perform for them. And they're fully entitled to their opinion, and we deserve their opinion. Like, there's no other way to sugarcoat it. That's what we earned.
So true. It's Todd McClellan after his team lost to New Jersey, eliminated from the playoffs, and yet again, for 10 straight years, longer than any other current NHL franchise, the Red Wings have missed the playoffs. Welcome back, X's and Bros, Monday through Friday, 6 until 9. The passion that you have for the Red Wings, I greatly respect. But we do need to take a deep breath and figure out what exactly is wrong. And I don't think it's a simple one-word answer. I don't think it's one level. It's not as easy as just saying, fire Steve Eisenberg. It's not as easy as just saying, let's bring in a new coach. There's a lot of things that have to happen. You could start, and I'm not saying sell the team, don't overreact, but you could start with Chris Ilitch and having him be a little bit more available. I know he gets compared to his father and everything, and that's a hard thing to do because his dad was one of the best owners in hockey. His dad was one of the best owners in baseball, too. Chris Ilitch is not his father. I don't expect him to be, and I don't think you should expect him to be. The one thing, besides learning a business from his father, the family business, and running it as well as Chris Ilitch has run it, and he's run it. You're not a multi-billionaire if you don't run something well, okay? And his businesses are worth billions of dollars. But the being present and being involved and being liked and being supportive of your team says something. One of the things that struck me earlier this year was when Todd McClellan told the story during the Sergei Fedorov jersey ceremony night. Do you remember this? It was a big deal. It was a really well done ceremony. A little long, but overall pretty damn good. Todd McClellan had mentioned that one of his young players asked who that guy was in the wheelchair when he was referring to Vladimir Konstantinov. And I don't expect every player to read a history lesson on the Detroit Red Wings, know that it was the Detroit Cougars at one point, and name every player they can recall from Reed Larson all the way up through Sergei Fedorov. That's not what I'm expecting. But they're Stanley Cup champion players, and they're great players, and Vladimir Konstantinov was a great player. You should know who they are. When I covered the Lions for a long time, Rod Marinelli, I know, not a great coach, 0-16, brutal, right? Really good position coach. Players played hard for him. When they took the team to camp, the rookies, the young players to camp for the Football Hall of Fame. And he gave each one of the players an assignment of an ex-Lion and want you to study up on who they are. And I only know this because at training camp, I interviewed every one of those because I was doing part of the television broadcast at the time as the play-by-play voice. And those are stories that were gold for me during preseason games. I mean, you're watching at home and you're going, why am I watching a preseason game? Well, you might learn a thing or two about a player or a thing or two about the coaches and what they've done. I'm not saying Todd McClellan needs to do that with all his players, but it wouldn't be a bad idea for them to at least acknowledge and recognize at least the great living players that this organization has. Is that too much to ask? There's a disconnect there. There's something missing. Great line from a Seinfeld episode. Something missing, all right, that you should be doing. All right? This team's got some, according to most, really good young players. You look at how Grand Rapids played, you would have to say yes. Why they're not up at the parent company, I don't know. All right? But the building blocks seem to be there. So that's good. At some point, you can stop suggesting they're not ready and force feed them into the NHL lineup on a regular basis. Now, we've seen that with Sandin Pellikka, and it didn't work out well. I'm not saying you overhaul the entire team and make them the second coming of the Grand Rapids Griffins. No, because you would get spanked on a regular basis in the National Hockey League with that mindset. But something has to, you have to marry the two together. And you've got to get some players who have some grit associated with them. For example, Carter Mazur is supposedly a grit guy. And yet, against New Jersey, no hits, no blocks, no points, a -2. What is going on? Are we being told something that perhaps he is a grit guy and really he's not? A couple of things that we love looking at when it comes to teams, we talk about culture and we talk about identity. And perhaps those are one and the same. While the Pistons' culture and identity is thriving and very clear, the culture is thriving, the identity is very clear who they are. The Red Wings is something, or is an organization we can't figure out. What's the culture and what's the identity? Doesn't help that you lose. That's not a good thing, obviously. When you look at leadership, who's a great leader? I love this question. I ask it to players all the time. Who's the best leader you ever played with? When the Red Wings played, here's what it was. I was talking to Darren McCarty about this the other day. When the Red Wings played, when they won, and it's easy for me to refer to the Stanley Cup champions because they were the best in the business, obviously, best in the world. But when they played, they held each other accountable. It's not just one leader. It's not just because there was one guy who wore a C and then two guys who wore A's. It's everybody. There was a standard that they set that you had to follow. Otherwise, you would have been ridiculed. And being ridiculed in your locker room is a hell of a lot more difficult and tougher to swallow than being ridiculed by the fan who has 15 Labatt's in his belly. It's a hell of a lot tougher to face your teammates by letting them down than explaining that to somebody with a recorder in their hand. And it doesn't seem like this team holds each other accountable. Who that's on? I don't know. I'm not sure any of us truly know. You can blame Dylan Larkin if you want. You can blame Mo Sider if you want. You can blame Lucas Raymond if you'd like. I don't know if it's just those three guys in general or the personality of players that you acquire overall. When you scout players and scout NHL guys, you've got to make sure that you're getting the right, not just the right player, but the right person in the locker room. That's what has to happen. What is the DNA of this team? We asked that of Todd Nelson last week. The head coach of Grand Rapids, we asked, what's your DNA? We're tough to play against. Detroit was supposed to be a team that is tough to play against. Where is that competitive DNA? The other is when people talk about the core of this team. Hey, you got the core of Larkin and Raymond and Sider and DeBrincat and Edvinsson. You know, those guys are untouchables. Why is there anybody on this team who's considered untouchable when you've gone 10 consecutive years without making the playoffs? How is there an untouchable on this team? And if you had to pinpoint one, who would it be? For me, it would be Sider. That's it. Our phone number on the Meyer hotline is 866-838-4843. The text line is Sports Radio 21,000. Mondays with Mitch. We'll talk passionately about that and more when Mitch Lyons joins us on the other side. We're brought to you this hour by our friends at Meyer.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kirk Gibson, who we are proud to support and partner with on the newly opened Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness.
Thanks, Mitch. We appreciate your support, and we are excited to have recently opened the center in Farmington Hills. It provides exercise therapy and educational programs that are helping the Parkinson's community. Just like Mitch Lyons Wealth helps improve the quality for their clients' retirements, this center helps improve the quality of life for people with Parkinson's.
And Gibby, the best part of all is that access to the center is available to the Parkinson's community free of charge, right?
That's right, absolutely free of charge for people with Parkinson's and their care partners.
You hit a couple of the most famous home runs in Major League history, Gibby, but I feel that your greatest hit will be the positive impact the Kirk Gibson Center is making in the fight against Parkinson's.
Mitch, since my diagnosis, I get up every day and focus on winning that day. This center encourages others to do the same.
Awesome, Gibby. To learn more, go to kirkgibsoncenter.org.
Hear that? That's the sound of saving a good deal more when you shop with M-Perks at Meijer. Some delicious Cosmic Crisp apples, money saved. Meijer Essential Paper Towels, that's money saved. Savings, savings, savings. Because every dollar spent is also points earned in M-Perks, which you can use to save on your next grocery trip or up to $1 off per gallon on your next tank of gas. At Meijer, we work hard to help you save a good deal more for a whole lot less. That's bringing more good to life. Exclusions apply. See mperks.com for details.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sportsnet. Sign up like the Huge Show did with the Detroit Sportsnet Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
18 after the hour on a Monday here on X's and Bros throughout the state of Michigan. Before we get rolling, just want to thank everybody for giving us the opportunity on a regular basis to join us. Latest numbers come in for our book, the radio book, the radio listenership, and we've greatly increased it, and we feel good being a top 5 market contributor throughout the state of Michigan, whether you're listening in Cadillac or Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Holland area, which is our flagship, WMAX 96.1 FM, The Game, in Petoskey and Charlevoix and Traverse City and Lansing, of course, streaming live on YouTube and X and Facebook as well, with the help of Andy McDonald, Trent Valley before him, and the likes of good friends who bring good content to our show, like Mitch Lyons. We are very grateful for those relationships, and it's paying off. Huge has had a massive book, and we have had a very, boastful book as well. So we thank you for giving us the opportunity to be part of your sports conversation on a daily basis. Let's bring in Mitch Lyons from Mitch Lyons Wealth, a great partner of ours. Call him today for your retirement needs. 866-85-STEEL. Sign up for the free newsletter. He's got on his website, a digital free copy of his book, Retirement of Steel. And he joins us here on X's and Bros. Hope you had a good weekend, my friend. How are you?
I did, buddy. I was down in New Orleans and heading to Nashville now. So doing a little TSA line here. So thanks for passing the time for me, and congrats on all your success too.
Yeah, thank you very much. Love Nashville. Just absolutely. Are you a big New Orleans guy? Do you like New Orleans? What do you like most about it?
Ange bought me tickets to Cody Johnson and Old Dominion down here for actually a Christmas present. So we came down for that. And then I've got a business thing over in Nashville, which is kind of a cool opportunity as well. Get a private concert with Brett Young and hanging out at Phil Vassar's house and listening to some songwriters play. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Weekend for us.
Yeah. All right. Love that. Yeah. Good stuff. All right. Snap back. Good stuff. What do teams get out of spring games when it comes to college football?
I think spring's important for the younger players, and you guys that are maybe weren't in the 2 deep last year, and just kind of get their feet wet and start taking on that ownership of being a guy that the team's going to have to count on. So I think it's more important there than the older guys. Older guys are maybe just kind of refined and working on 2 or 3 things that they want to improve their game. But it's really time for the young player to shine and then take advantage of the opportunity.
Pistons win 60 games this year. 3rd time it's ever happened in franchise history. What brought you the most enjoyment watching them?
What I love about this team is and we've talked about this, but they're just junkyard dogs, right? They come to play every night. They play for each other. They're unselfish. They remind me a lot of the Bad Boys era and Chauncey and Rip's team in 04 and 05 during that time, when they just they don't care who gets the glory. They're just going to come out and they're a tough out every single night. They don't take nights off, and whether they got their stars playing or not, the next guy steps up, and it's just that kind of mentality and it's that culture. And we talk about the lack of that on the Red Wings, but the Pistons are not lacking that. It's everyone's held to higher expectations, and that's just kind of how the locker room is. And then you better step up when your time comes.
Yeah, that's interesting. So you go from one spectrum to the other. The Red Wings, in the meantime, they stink up the schedule, right, since late January. What tells you that it's leadership? What tells you that it's management? How do you read that situation?
It's that's a tough one, and you know when you see it, right? You know a great culture when you see it. What creates it? I don't know. Is it the right player coming in that kind of takes a hold of the locker room? Yes, but is it management to get that player and identify that player? Yes. So it all kind of works hand in hand. And you see this across teams and across leagues where, you can flip that switch pretty quickly. You bring in the right guy from a coaching standpoint or just, a veteran player that can come in and kind of take that ownership. And you've seen it in times past. Gibby, our good friend Gibby, is example of that when he went to the Dodgers and any team he was on. I mean, he holds himself to a higher standard and then everybody else as well.
Yeah, he had won in this team, in this sport, perhaps. I mean, Patrick Kane has won. Guys have played in playoffs. Guys have been in Stanley Cup finals before, and yet for some reason or another, they're reluctant to take ownership or leadership of something like that. So it's a very weird situation. What'd you think of the Masters yesterday?
Yeah, so that's incredible. I mean, congrats to Rory, but the other thing is, golf, right? Anybody that plays the game knows how it can turn. I mean, the first 2 days, he just looks unbelievable. Scotty looks like he's out of it, down 12
Yeah.
shots. And, I mean, then he comes back and, geez, if he rolls that putt in 17, we're probably going to a playoff, right? It's amazing. But the mental side of it is what I love. Watching guys have to persevere, and, you know, nobody did that better than Rory. I mean, obviously, I think he was 53rd out of 54 in driving accuracy, and he wins the Masters. I mean, go figure. I wouldn't have won that bad if you told me that ahead of the tournament. And yet he found a way. So that's pretty incredible. And to be only the fourth guy to do it back to back is pretty awesome.
Yeah, there's, you know, I can't say that I'm a huge fan of Rory McIlroy, but what I do appreciate is the mentality, like you said, because Saturday he let a lot of people back into it.
He sure did.
And then to be able to push back a little bit when he lost the lead at one point to Justin Rose tells you just how tough you have to be mentally to play that sport. Mitch Lyons Wealth joining us here on X's and Bros like he does every Monday at 7:18. Mondays with Mitch. Call him today, 866-85-STEEL. Go to the website, MitchLyonsWealth.com. Sponsors the first hour of the program as well. The NFL draft is right around the corner. It's in Pittsburgh, your old stomping grounds, where you played tight end there. What do you like about the depth at offensive tackle in this year's class?
Well, it looks like there's the opportunity to go get a young kid. There seems to be, you know, some high end guys that are slated to be kind of plug and play guys that could come in and start. And, you know, our Lions could use that. So I hope they can get somebody that slides to them and can be a fixture at that position. Obviously, you don't want to go into the season with a question mark on your quarterback's blind side. So that is definitely a concern. And, you know, maybe they have. Maybe they know more than we do, Shep. But you know, Borum, I don't know if he's the guy you're going to go into the season counting on. So, you know, they've got to probably go land one of these young kids and you know, hopefully get a good return on their investment and get Jared Goff's backside. You know, unless they're planning on moving Sewell over, who knows? But they've got to secure. I'm more concerned with the edges than I am inside.
Well, let me ask you two more questions before I let you go. You mentioned the blind side, which I think is common and rightfully so, because Jared Goff's a right-handed thrower. His back is to the left side. They could always move Penei Sewell there, which is fine. But here's my question. Is the blind side as important today as it used to be, considering how defensive ends move all around? Aiden Hutchinson is not always playing from the left side. Sometimes he's playing on the right side. Sometimes he comes up the middle. Micah Parsons, same thing. Is it really the same as the way it used to be when they would station one guy at one spot like Bruce Smith and Lawrence Taylor from the blind side?
Well, it's more difficult to account for a talented player, right? I mean, you've got to identify him every time, you know, where he is, and you've got to pay attention to him. They call the blind side a reason, though. When you're a quarterback and you don't trust that guy on the backside, that you can't see him coming. I mean, it's one thing if the guy in front of you gets beat, you can see that, you can react, you can try to duck out or spin out. But when you got a guy, you know, coming at you, breathing down your neck, whether it's Hutchinson or whether it's, you know, Micah Parsons or it's just somebody else that's got single blocker now because the other guy's taking two or three guys attention. You know, that's in the quarterback's head. And when you don't have that confidence dropping back there, that's when you start seeing ghosts. You know, a la Sam Darnold back in his Jets days. But so you've got to have the confidence back there when you're standing there in the pocket for sure.
All right, you bring up one of the tackles, and one of them is Alabama's Caden Proctor, 6'7", 352 pounds. Okay. At one point, he was 390 at Alabama. There are some people that are starting to get a little concerned about his weight. How concerned would you be about a young man who had to lose about 40 pounds for his final
I played with a guy in Atlanta, Lincoln Kennedy, that was a big early round pick, and he struggled with weight his whole career. And I saw it firsthand, and it's not a good indicator when the kid's having that issue in college. And so that would be a red flag for me. It'd give me a little pause, because that's not something that you know, necessarily guys flip a switch on when they've just kind of, you know, however, live their life that way already, and maybe have a problem with the eating. That can be a problem, because you do not need a weight problem. That's, you know, having to weigh guys in every week and, you know, babysit them to keep their weight down. So that's definitely a red flag for me.
Yeah, it's a good point. Hey, listen, enjoy Nashville, my friend. As we get closer to the draft, we're going to be talking a lot more frequently. Look forward to it as always. Thanks, buddy.
Absolutely. I look forward to it in Pittsburgh too, which is my old stomping grounds. I like it. I might have to go down there.
Hey, I would like that. I'd love to talk to you from Pittsburgh and get your thoughts on it. It's a great place to watch a football game. It's a really good sports town. Mitch Lyons from Mitch Lyons Wealth joining us here on X's and Bros. Brought to you by Meyer here in the second hour. Stay with us. We're back with more after this.
Huge here for Josh Garvey and his team at Dorn Mayhew. Now, Josh oversees the West Michigan operations. Dorn Mayhew's worldwide headquarters are in Troy, Michigan, on the east side of the state. They are one of the top accounting, CPA, and business firms in the world. They continue to grow. They can help your business with any accounting, CPA, or business need you have. And also Dorn Mayhew and Josh and the West Michigan operation, they present Talking Hoops with John Beeline. We do it every Tuesday on the Huge Show through the NBA Finals. So how far will the Pistons go in the playoffs? You can hear Coach Beeline, Josh Garvey, and myself every Tuesday on the Huge Show as we talk hoops, presented by one of the world's top accounting, CPA, and business firms, Dorn Mayhew. Josh Garvey oversees the West Michigan operation. Their worldwide headquarters for Dorn Mayhew are in Troy, Michigan.
Hear that? That's the sound of saving a good deal more when you shop with M-Perks at Meijer. Some delicious Cosmic Crisp apples, money saved. Meijer Essential Paper Towels, that's money saved. Savings, savings, savings. Because every dollar spent is also points earned in M-Perks, which you can use to save on your next grocery trip or up to $1 off per gallon on your next tank of gas. At Meijer, we work hard to help you save a good deal more for a whole lot less. That's bringing more good to life. Exclusions apply. See mperks.com for details.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sports Net. Sign up like the Huge Show did with the Detroit Sports Net Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
So obviously saw him 2 times before and knew what his hitter looked like, and just being aggressive in that at bat, and hoping I would get that first pitch fastball, and I did. And biggest thing is I didn't miss it.
He doesn't miss a whole lot, does he? Welcome back, X's and Bros, Monday through Friday, 6 until 9. That's Kevin McGonigal. Nice job by Andy McDonald. He's put in a lot of really good sound that helps you feel like you were there. McGonigal, a part of an 8-run, 12-hit performance by the Tigers. He went 3 for 4, scored a couple of runs, had the home run, and walked. So as much as, and I love what he's done, I think it's awesome he made the team out of spring. He deserved to make the team out of spring. I think a guy like Max Clark has deserved to get called up. However, I would caution myself and anybody else who thinks that those guys monitor certain things. While we look at how well this guy's hitting with numbers and so on and so forth, they look at other things. Now, I don't know what else they could possibly see, quite honestly, because Max Clark is killing it in Toledo. But this is not about Max Clark. This is more about, what the Tigers are doing and their ability to sweep Miami and get 2 games within 500. Kevin McGonigal right now is batting .322. He leads this team in on-base percentage. He's not leading the team in hitting. Cole Keith is batting .340. All right, so he's off to an unbelievable start.
It wasn't quite wasn't the pitching matchup we really expected yesterday either. I mean, School held up his part, that's for sure. But that was that when we asked about my weekend, I obviously said the part about the Masters. I was actually in Detroit for Saturday and Sunday's games yesterday to watch those. So we expected it to be completely different, but Dingler definitely got the place going with that home run the first inning. But when McGonigal hit that home run, I mean, that was probably the loudest cheer of the weekend, just because I think everybody kind of was waiting for that moment. Not necessarily him. Not like that day to hit a home run or anything like that, but just like to get that first one out of the way and people could just feel it right away. So,
yeah, I think people are really feeling him as a future centerpiece for this team. Like, you can read all you want about it. You can follow it online on how well he did at Erie or West Michigan or Lakeland, because he never played in Toledo. But now that you're watching him every day, you're appreciating how much better he truly is. That this kid can just flat out hit. But I hope we're not pigeonholing him strictly as a hitter, because he's played some really nice defense so far. And if you told me moving forward, somebody asked me this last night, I said, look, you can put him at shortstop. I mean, does he have the arm? It's not a howitzer, but he's good enough. All right. I don't know what his arm is compared to Bryce Rayner.
I mean, you see the play he made on Friday night?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like he didn't throw a bullet back by any means, but he definitely got it there, and that's a hard throw to make in general. So,
sure, absolutely it is. My point is, on the left side of the infield, if you had a combination of him and Bryce Rayner, who's off to a really good start too, then I'd be okay with that. I think most people would be, because those guys are going to they're deserving of where they are because of their bat to ball skills, and their defense is good. It's not great, but it's good. McGonigal's defense has been much better than I thought it would be. I'm excited. It's not that I'm wasting away this year. I'm really excited for next year, to be honest with you, because you're going to have second, short, and third, and you're going to have it with, stapled players. Guys who are going to be the core of this team moving forward. It's interesting. We talked about the Red Wings core just before the break, and it's the same thing here. You're like, this core, some people wondering when they were losing, how could you keep, Torkelson and Carpenter and Green? How much further do you have to go? And so on and so forth. Listen, you get guys like Riley Green, who's been on base in every single game. People have lost sight of that. He's been on base in every single game. Oh, my God, Riley Green, what's wrong with him? How come he's not doing this? How come he's not doing that? He went 2 for 3 yesterday. So the 250 isn't good enough. It's not what he wants yet. But did score a couple of runs, all right? And he was on base 3 times. And that's the thing I want people to, pay attention to. It's not just the hits. It's what else you're doing to get on base. And that's been as impressive about Kevin McGonigal as anything else. The 3 hits are great, but the 4 to get on base 4 times from the top of the order. Remember, I told you before the season began, I said he's going to be hitting at the top of the order before May. Now, it's a lot sooner than I thought, but every day you go into that clubhouse and you see that lineup card, McGonigal's name is going to be at the top of the order. He has solidified himself. The injury to Parker Meadows that has put Javier Baez in center field where most people feel fine. Okay, that's good. But that has allowed Kevin McGonigal perhaps to start entrench himself as the everyday shortstop. He's definitely deserving of hitting at the top of the order. It's 16 games. I'm not going to get too hyperbolic about it, but you're getting on base like that, and you're setting the table for everybody else. I think AJ Hinch is like, you know what? Here we go. We're figuring this out. McGonigal's good at the top. He's going to hit Torres second no matter what. Cole Keith has deserved to be the 3. Then suddenly you get to a little bit what you hope will be power in Green and Dingler and Carpenter and Torkelson. It's interesting. Carpenter, Torkelson a year ago, middle of the order, 4 or 5. Now they're pushed down a little bit. And I can't help but wonder if perhaps that's where they were best suited in the first place. The difference is they've got better hitters in front of them now than they did last year. They find their way through an order. It's just you got to have the right guys in the right spot. McGonigal makes a difference with everybody else. Cole Keith makes a difference with everybody else. You get those 2 guys hitting, and it does help go lefty, righty, lefty, okay? And then another lefty for Riley Green for a reason. There's those 2 guys at the top of the order has allowed AJ Hinch to move certain guys down in the order and create more difficult and questions for the opposition in the bottom part of the order. So it's been really impressive if it continues. Okay, they get Kansas City starting tomorrow. All right, but good stuff from Kevin McGonigal. You had mentioned, and rightfully so, Andy brings up the matchup was going to be Skubal, 2-time Cy Young Award winner, Sandy Alcantara, 1-time Cy Young Award winner a few years ago, who supposedly is back. Remember, we had the Marlins play-by-play voice on Friday. Really excited for Sunday, he said. Well, I understand that. I think Andy and his friends and everybody else was. Here's the problem. Sandy Alcantara didn't live up to his end of the billing. He gives up 10 hits and 7 runs, 7 earned runs, the 3 homers. Tigers beat the hell out of him. Skubal, the 4th Tigers starter in a row to throw at least 5 2/3 innings and allow no more than 1 run. That is the longest stretch in a single season since 2013, when 5 consecutive starters did it in a row. So the last 4 Tiger starters, Flaherty, Montero, Mize, and Skubal, have all gone at least 5 2/3 innings, allowed 1 or fewer runs, and that was the first time since 2013. That's a hell of an accomplishment.
And I think that's the kind of recipe that they kind of thought about coming into the year. They thought they were going to be able to win a lot of games, with the pitching that they went out and got in these kind of tight games where it's lower scoring. I feel like this is more according to the plan of what they would want. And it's kind of crazy. You can go from one series with the Twins where you get swept like that. Again, that's why I keep saying you don't want to read too much into things early in the year, because then they come back home, weather's a little warmer, people are feeling good. And the Marlins weren't even close this weekend, really.
Agreed. And now, how much are you and I going to look into? Hey, man, they just swept the Marlins. Thumbs up. Probably not.
I'm not going to get giddy about that.
I'm not either. But here's the thing, Andy. If they lose to the Marlins, you and I are upset.
Exactly.
So I can't, that's what happened with Minnesota. How do you get swept by a team that's not very good, right? You're supposed to beat the teams you're supposed to beat. It's an easy cliche to use. How do you know whether you're supposed to beat them at this time of the year or not? Because based on projections, how many times have people been wrong about projections? So to me, it's not as much that, it's how you look while you're playing. And I didn't like the series against Minnesota like nobody did. Who's a Tigers fan? The last game where it looks like they're getting blown out, suddenly they make a comeback and you think there might be something there. perhaps that helps inspire them a little bit against Miami. I'm not going to read too much into the Minnesota series loss being swept, and I'm not going to read too much into the sweeping of Miami, but I'll take the latter rather than the former. Via text from Freddie. Shep, when Mike Ilitch fired Alan Trammell and Tom Gores let go Joe Dumars, either owner had any history of those two guys coming into house franchises as young players. The fans have history with both those guys, both heroes in this town. But there is no way, absolutely no way, they fire Steve Yzerman. He may have to make up an excuse and say, I'm stepping away for family reasons or becoming full-time president, and they're going to bring in a GM. But there's no way they're firing Steve Yzerman, the legend and what he has done for their pocketbooks. What they do is a different situation. My guess is the head coach becomes the fall guy. I got to tell you, I love his honesty. Even Stevie was honest a couple of years ago in a year of presser saying, yeah, players got to play harder, play better. It's got to be hard for the grades to take over games and not see players perform like they did. Agreed. 100%. It is, I said this, I don't know, middle of the season or January sometime, maybe early February. I said, Joe Dumars led the Pistons to incredible success. What was it? 6 straight Eastern Conference Finals appearances, won a championship, lost another in the finals to the Spurs. And people couldn't wait to get rid of him because of the Darko Milicic draft and because of the trade that sent Chauncey Billups to Denver for Allen Iverson. 2 bad choices, no question. Could have had Dwayne Wade, could have had Chris Bosh, could have had Carmelo Anthony. I understand, okay? Made a mistake, known for it. I would choose and hope people would think of him more for what he did do with the Pistons executive rather than that draft pick. Remember, he's the guy who brought in Rasheed Wallace, folks, okay? He's the one who built the championship team. You're going to work Pistons. He built it. Anyway, people couldn't wait to get him out. Why am I not hearing the same type of frustration with Steve Yzerman? I don't understand that.
That's what I don't think a lot of people understand. When you get, obviously he has the name that he has, but when you've been, this many years now, who else gets that much time? Like that's what I want to know.
The difference. Let me tell you what I think is the difference. Okay, couple things. First, those Pistons teams that Joe Dumars won championships, back-to-back championships, and you would argue one of the greatest backcourts of all time: Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, Vinnie Johnson. One of the greatest of all time. There's no doubt. It was seen as Isaiah's team, not Joe Dumars' team. That's number one. Number two, Joe Dumars had never done this job. Steve Yzerman has. Red Wings were known as Steve Yzerman's team when they won cups. Then he went and did what he did in Tampa, even though it wasn't by himself, and it isn't the same Tampa team but he did that, and that added to his credibility. So multiple cups as the captain, as the face of the franchise, and then going to another franchise and helping create a roster that was built into a multi-Stanley Cup champion. Whereas Joe Dumars, not seen as the franchise and had never done his job before until he got to Detroit. It's just a guess on my part.
No, I think that's correct. The name repetition is 100%, in my opinion, why he's still here. And then, you do look at what they've been doing in Grand Rapids and a lot of the talent that he's drafted. There is a lot of potential with a lot of those players too, which I think is also where it makes it kind of hard for fans because guys, that he's brought in the organization like Lucas Raymond and Mo Sider that people like so much. It makes it harder to kind of, I feel like, move on from him when you still think there's so much potential with some of the guys that are coming up right now. So but everything you said, I think, is what overall puts more weight on it than anything else is the fact that people loved him so much when he was a player. It's hard to explain to the fan base, I guess, that part of it he can do no wrong, basically, is what I'm trying to say. That part of the fan base that won't let go of that, no matter what, it's always going to be hard to explain for them when he has the rep that he has coming from Tampa.
Yeah, look, when people talk about great players, like Freddie had mentioned, it's got to be hard for greats to take over games and not see players perform like they did. It must be painful for them. And we've got plenty of examples of the past. It's not that Yzerman hasn't done it. He has done it. I remember Maury Wills, who was a 5-time All-Star. He was a manager, and he couldn't do it, right? It wasn't, he couldn't handle it. Norm Van Brockelen was a spectacular player for 12 years in the National Football League. Couldn't be a very good head coach. Now, this is more coaching than front office play. But overall, these are the things that greats oftentimes just don't get the opportunity, the leeway from the media or from fans because of how great they were. Bart Starr was a great quarterback, one of the greatest of all time. How good do you remember him as a football coach? You probably don't, do you? Same thing with Willis Reed or Wes Unseld, who was a hell of a player. Kurt Rambis won championships. You would think Kurt Rambis would understand what it takes to be a champion. Instead, with the Timberwolves, he went 15-67, and the next year went 17-65. Does that make sense? Doesn't seem like it. Alan Trammell, 4 Gold Gloves, 3 Silver Sluggers. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a 6-time All-Star. How good was Alan Trammell? They were 43-119 with the Tigers. And he's not alone. Elgin Baylor is one of those times. He's an 11-time All-Star. How good were the Clippers? 86-134 during his tenure. And he was a general manager. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that happens in all kinds of different places. A friend of ours on our show, Herm Edwards, who's been on a number of times with us, couldn't do it. Art Shell couldn't do it in the National Football League. And then you've got guys like Kevin McHale, Hall of Fame player. How good was he? Not very. Bob Gainey in hockey is a good example. Hell, Mike Singletary. He's one of the best middle linebackers I can recall. He got fired as a head coach.
Well, is this where you think, though, some of these examples that what he did in Tampa Bay, like, is that why also he's gotten more time? Like, is that why you think people give him more time?
Yeah, that's why I say. I said because he was the face of the dynasty for the Red Wings. It was his team. He owned this state. And yes, he helped build Tampa. It shouldn't matter what you do as a player, with all due respect. I mean, Brian Trottier had over 500 goals in 15 seasons. How good of a coach was Brian Trottier? Right? I mean, it's Isaiah Thomas. He won 2 world championships and was a 12-time All-Star. Do you remember him as a good coach? Ted Williams, the greatest hitter of all time. Do you remember him at all? Magic Johnson. Wayne Gretzky is the greatest hockey player of all time. How good was he behind the Arizona bench, the Phoenix Coyotes? His winning percentage was 47%. Those are coaches primarily. Yzerman's going to get the benefit of the doubt. There's no question about that. It's got to be hard for all those guys to try and coach or manage a team when they don't have that buy-in. Phone number on the Meyer hotline is 866-838-4843. Our text line is Sports Radio 21000. And you can always join us in the chat as well via YouTube, text, or via X, or on Facebook as well. Like Tibero says, well, what are you talking about? We were talking about a text we got from a listener who was talking about how tough it must be for greats to watch what's happening with their team. We're back with more after this. This is X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network.
You've worked hard for decades saving in pre-tax retirement plans like 401ks and IRAs, saving on taxes now. But as your retirement now approaches, you're going to get taxed at rates you have no control over. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. Your 401k balance isn't worth what your statement says. You could lose thousands of dollars to taxes, and those distributions can impact other areas of your retirement like Social Security and Medicare. Could a Roth IRA conversion be of help to you? You've probably heard of Roth conversions, but it can be confusing. Should you convert all at once or over time? Where should you pay the taxes from? How do you know for sure? Get our free personalized Roth Blueprint analysis today to find out exactly what makes sense for you. Your Roth Blueprint could potentially increase your lifetime wealth by thousands of dollars. So get your free Roth Blueprint today. Text Blueprint to 844-867-8335. That's Blueprint to 844-867-8335. Or go to MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Farrah's Coffee has been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The Huge Show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
it's extremely difficult. I mean, our fans are great. They're passionate. They care about winning. There's been some great years here, and they want us back to that, and that's what they expect here. And to hear that, very difficult, and we're down. I'm down as down as I could be right now. So.
Dylan Larkin, the captain of the Red Wings. It's humbling. It has to be really humbling for him to be the leader and yet not make the playoffs. 10 straight years now for the Red Wings. No team in the National Hockey League currently has had a longer drought of reaching the playoffs than the Detroit Red Wings. That's how disappointing, that's how record-setting, and it's incredibly frustrating for this team and fan base. But when you get booed off the ice a couple of times in your last 3 games, I don't care if you got 91 points. You get a chance to actually have 95 points on the year and miss the playoffs. The 95 points would be the most points you've had since 2015 when you lost in the first round. That's the thing that people are wondering about. I think everybody gets that it's when you have a rebuild, how challenge. Maybe we don't completely understand the challenges of it because we're not in it every single day. But we knew it was going to be challenging. The other thing is that this franchise has not been out of the first round since 2013. So they've missed the playoffs 10 straight years. They've also been bounced in the first round each of the 3 years prior to. 13 years, man. 14 years since they've played extra hockey, if you will. Getting past the first round. And ironically enough, that was that shortened season when they only played 48 games. And they lost in the conference semifinals. This team has not finished first since 2011. So as much as we love the tradition of the Red Wings, and players talk about the tradition of the Red Wings, and coaches talk about the tradition of the Red Wings, here's what the recent tradition is. And you're looking at guys who are young players. Max Plant, who won the Hobey Baker over the weekend for Minnesota Duluth, and he's a Red Wings prospect. Trey Augustine. These are young kids, aren't they? They're 22 years old. Where does that take them? How much do they truly appreciate the history of the Detroit Red Wings? So if you look at it, and it's 2026, and let's say they're 22 years old. In other words, they were born in 2004, right? And it was a glorious time. Do they really remember when they've won one Stanley Cup? If they even remember it, because they were 4 years old, because they won it in 2008, and they played in the finals the year after. So maybe when they were 5, and they were first impressionable, since you're skating around 4 or 5. That's when kids begin to learn how to skate, most of them anyway. So they may have been paying attention. They may have recognized, hey, the Red Wings are into the conference semis and they lose. They're into the conference semis and they lose. They're into the quarterfinals and they lose. They're into the semifinals, they lose. Bounce in round 1. And then 10 straight years. Their most impressionable years, the Red Wings haven't been very good. So what type of history is that, for crying out loud? It drives you freaking nuts, is what it does. Hero and Heel at 818. You can text us. You can comment on our stream, YouTube, Facebook, and X via text. Shep, he's got a hero and a heel. We'll get to that. Shep, technically, Steve didn't win the titles in Tampa as the GM. Correct. He built them in, or helped build them into championships. Inherited superstars, doesn't take anything away, but it should be noted. Well, he did draft Vasilevsky. He did draft Hedman, right? Those were big pieces. The hard thing about hockey is this. We don't know when you draft a player. It's not too dissimilar than drafting a baseball player at 18 if you're drafting them out of high school. So they drafted guys like Kevin McGonigal out of high school, Max Clark out of high school, right? Bryce Rayner was out of high school, I believe. Jackson Jobe out of high school. You don't know what they're going to be. You project them to be, but you don't know exactly. It's the same thing when you're drafting in the NHL. You're drafting an 18-year-old. So you're hoping they're going to be. You also know in hockey, more oftentimes than not, unlike Matthew Schaefer, unlike Celebrini, Macklin Celebrini in San Jose, Connor McDavid, you're drafting guys who you expect to be there 4 years. In 4 years, you'd love that to be the situation. But that's not always the situation. More oftentimes, it's not the situation. You're rarely getting a guy like Sidney Crosby, right? You'd love to have a guy like Sidney Crosby. That'd be fantastic. How do you not want a guy who wouldn't want a guy like Sidney Crosby? But when he made his debut for the Penguins, and he did so back in 2006, he was 18 years old. He had 102 points. Red Wings don't have anybody like that in their system, but he's a Hall of Fame player. He's one of the greatest players of all time. You're not expecting that. You're trying to project as a guy goes through the collegiate ranks, how good of a player he's going to be from 18, and you're hoping that he gets nurtured. Good article recently. They were talking about a certain Michigan player. Forgive me, I forget who it was now. He's going to come back, even though he's considered one of the best non-NHL camp players right now that isn't on a team. They're going to bring him back to Michigan because Montreal and Michigan and that player, feel like it's the best for him. That's fantastic. Okay, that they've been able to come to a conclusion and that he's going to get another year of development. Steve Yzerman hit on some guys. He hasn't hit on a lot of guys. We brought this up earlier this year. 10 out of 66 draft picks that he's had have had some NHL decent time, an extended period of time. That's not a good ratio, man. But more importantly than that, it's some of the contracts that he has signed with certain players that has made you go, really? What the hell are you doing? Why are you paying so much for this guy? And then the leadership from within the room has to make you wonder just a little bit. Are guys being held accountable? It's not that you got to get in everybody's grill and say, you got to be better at this. It's an expectation that you don't want to let your teammates down because you know they're working so damn hard. And I don't think anybody gets that true feeling of that with this team. Or has gotten that feeling with this team over the years. That's the biggest frustration I think a lot of Tigers, Red Wings, Pistons, Lions fans have. And in fairness to the Red Wings, a lot of times people aren't always talking hockey until their team isn't doing very well. And that ain't right either. Pistons had an incredible year. How must it end? We'll talk about that at 8:35. But when we come back, hero and heel, your best and your worst of the week. We look forward to the feedback there on X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network, brought to you by Avello Air and Avello Airlines and AvelloAir.com.
In the Den with Dan Dickerson.
Hey, Tigers fans, a new baseball season means a new season on Michigan's favorite island destination, Mackinac Island. Baseball, spring, and Mackinac Island. Things that return every year, reminding us what a great state we live in. Shake off the winter blahs, take in a game, and plan your trip to America's top summer destination, MackinacIsland.org. Every day, Kevin McGonigal does something to impress, and it's been this way since the start of spring training. First, it's his demeanor. He walks into the clubhouse with the same positive energy every day. He loves what he does, and he works hard to get better every day. Teams are pitching him like a veteran, yet he stays timed up for the fastball. He's playing superb defense at third and at short. He's been moved up to the leadoff spot, and he got on base 8 times out of the leadoff spot in 3 games against the Marlins. Through 15 games, McGonigal is hitting .320 with a .920 OPS. He's walked more than he has struck out. He's incredibly consistent, and McGonigal is just getting started.
You've worked hard for decades saving in pre-tax retirement plans like 401ks and IRAs, saving on taxes now. But as your retirement now approaches, you're going to get taxed at rates you have no control over. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. Your 401k balance isn't worth what your statement says. You could lose thousands of dollars to taxes, and those distributions can impact other areas of your retirement like Social Security and Medicare. Could a Roth IRA conversion be of help to you? You've probably heard of Roth conversions, but it can be confusing. Should you convert all at once or over time? Where should you pay the taxes from? How do you know for sure? Get our free personalized Roth Blueprint analysis today to find out exactly what makes sense for you. Your Roth Blueprint could potentially increase your lifetime wealth by thousands of dollars. So get your free Roth Blueprint today. Text Blueprint to 844-867-8335. That's Blueprint to 844-867-8335. Or go to MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
Farrah's Coffee has been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
Yeah, I don't make it easy. I used to make it easy back in my early 20s when I was winning these things by 8 shots. But no, it's hard. It's hard to win golf tournaments. Yeah, especially around here. Like you've had maybe a couple of runaway winners over the years, but it always seems to be a very tight finish at this golf course. So I think it's the nature of the golf course. It's the nature of what's at stake.
Rory McIlroy, the Masters champion for a second straight year, the fourth player ever to do that. First time in about 20 years that they have had a back-to-back champion. He joins Jack Nicklaus and Nick Faldo and Tiger Woods as back-to-back green jacket wearers. What is it, 5 majors now? Or is it 6? It's 5 majors, I believe.
Yeah, it'd be 5.
For Rory McIlroy, yeah. So good for him. Do you like him?
I'm not like,
it's hard to be likable.
Yeah.
I think it's really hard. I do. I think it's hard, especially for athletes.
And in golf too, it feels like. But yeah.
And in golf, and because I mean, you pick apart just about everything they say, and they answer a lot of different questions, at the podium. McIlroy saying, it used to be when I was winning these tournaments, running away. You never won a match in your 20s. You didn't win a Masters.
Yeah, that's what I kind of thought too when he said that.
Look, I think he's a great player. He's going to be, in all likelihood, a golf Hall of Famer. I think it's difficult. I was surprised yesterday. He's paired with Cam Young, who is a quieter guy. I like Cam Young. Cam Young wore red, white, and blue in the Ryder Cup and was really good.
For sure.
And it seemed like more people were cheering for Rory McIlroy, who was disparaging to American golf fans. And yet, for some reason, they want. So when people tell you, what do fans want to see? I'll tell you what they want to see. They want to see greatness.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what it is. I mean, it's not. Yeah, his personality, definitely not my favorite on the tour. But I think what he did yesterday kind of, in a way, like wipes away how long it took him to get to that title. Like winning 2 in a row is just an incredible accomplishment. You can't.
It really is. Yeah, it really is. I don't care if you win it by 1 or 21. It's a hell of a job by him. So I give him a ton of credit. I'm not a huge fan. I just have never been a big fan. And I think if I were there, I'd be rooting for Cam. I would have been rooting for Cam Young. That's for sure. I was rooting for Scotty Scheffler. There's certain guys. I was asking somebody about this yesterday. There's certain guys where I watch them play and I seem to want him to win all the time. And maybe that's my excuse for wanting to watch greatness. I don't know, but I think Scotty Scheffler was incredible at times. It shows you just how great he is when he can be that far down and stage that type of comeback and shoot, what was it, 65, 68 in back-to-back. That's
it was
really
unbelievable.
hard to do. Yeah, hard to do in the Masters at Augusta. All right, let's get to our hero and heel. We have it for you every Monday at 8:18. We ask you for your hero and heel. Let me get to a text first. Actually, Freddie texted in again and said, my hero is Paul Woods, 48 years with the Wings. Yeah, as the color commentator on radio. Just a true pro, an outstanding individual. Love Paul Woods, but he's got 2 games left in the radio booth. He will never do it again in the home booth, unfortunately. It'll be interesting to see who takes his place. I think Larry Murphy's done a nice job in that role. Danny DeKaiser's done a good job in that role as well. But Paul Woods has been a staple for Red Wings radio broadcasts for a long, long time. So that's a really good hero. Thank you for that. The heel is Jack Nicklaus's tee shot to open the Masters. Yeah, it wasn't great, was it? I love that tradition. I love that it's Nicklaus, and it was Player, and it was Watson. But from what I understand, Jack Nicklaus's wasn't great. You might want to move on from somebody else. Bring somebody else on board. Who would that other former player be? Ben Crenshaw, I believe. He's still around. Sure. It could be him. I don't know I don't know what their criteria is, but I hear you. Second heel, fan not keeping the baseball, or at least not getting $30,000 to $40,000. I would assume they're talking about the Kevin McGonigal first career home run. That fan instead got, I believe, a signed bat.
And a jersey, it looked like. Yeah, I saw the
Yeah,
picture.
a jersey. Yeah. What would you ask for?
Gosh, I mean that is the thing. It's worth so much money, but again, I respect the sport so much and how hard it is to get there that for me it'd be hard to not want to give him that ball back.
Yeah,
but
I don't think he's going to be a home run champion. I don't think he's going to threaten Barry Bonds' career.
No, probably not. No.
I think for a first home run, I think it's a little different than a milestone home run, like a 500th home run, a 300th home run, a 400th home run. So the first home run, you know, I'd probably be dumb enough to say, here, you can have it. And I don't necessarily want anything. I would love to have probably a signed bat or a signed jersey.
Yeah, I definitely want something back for it 100%. And to meet him would be cool. That kind of stuff. Like if I was a fan thinking about it that way.
Here's the other thing. I think it's more about, I always believe this when calling games, I think it's more about experiences than it is paraphernalia. So what I would love to do is say, I tell you what, you come out to dinner with us or and share some stories.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I mean,
that's as good. Like, give me a signed bat, and you and I eat lunch at Comerica Park because I'm not going to meet you.
Yeah, make you go anywhere. Yeah,
right. Yeah, that's not cool. But let me have a tour of the clubhouse, and you and I can have lunch, and I get a signed bat, and I'll give you the ball.
Yeah, easy enough to me.
Something a little bit more unique than that.
For sure. Sure.
Now, some people say we don't allow people in the clubhouse. Oh, you allow plenty of people when you celebrated, making the playoffs. Good one. So here's my hero for the week. My hero is the Denver hockey team. In a day and age of Power 4 conferences, it's Denver that has ruled the college hockey roost. They win another NCAA men's hockey title. They've got now more championships than anybody else in Division I. The last 13 national title winners: Denver, Western Michigan, shout out to the Broncos, Denver, Quinnipiac, Denver, UMass, back-to-back Minnesota Duluth, Denver, North Dakota, Providence, Union, and Yale. That's how dominant Denver has been recently. While everybody's talking about pouring money in, as their coach said afterwards, it's not always about the money. Denver has proven that. It may not be known for football or basketball, but it sure is known for hockey and to a certain extent lacrosse. The Denver hockey program is my hero of the weekend. How about yours?
We already kind of hit on it a little bit, but I had Scotty Scheffler, even though he didn't finish first place, what he did this weekend with the not bogeying and setting that record is extremely impressive. And I mean, at the end of the day, he was one putt away from lipping in there from forcing a playoff and maybe winning the Masters. So I just think the effort he put together this weekend was a hero performance to me.
Love that. All right, time for heel, because we do hero and heel, the best and the worst of the week, every Monday at 8:18. You could go with Doc Rivers. That's a little too easy. I'm going to go with Sergio Garcia. On Sunday at the Masters, on the second hole in the par 5, Garcia sliced his drive, proceeded to slam his driver into the ground, breaking it, taking chunks out of the tee box, also slammed a water cooler. It led to a code of conduct warning. We need to remind some players, as he stood in front of the media with glasses on and looking very smug, that a lifetime exemption is the privilege extended by Augusta. Okay? And it's out of request or respect, I should say. If it's not reciprocated, I would think you could ban the player. And I'm not saying they should ban him, but he should be put on notice for that crap that he did on Sunday. So my heel is Sergio Garcia. How about you?
My heel is the Islanders, just to kind of take a little bit of heat off the Red Wings. They also missed the playoffs, and for the first time ever in the history of the NHL, the Islanders, Rangers, and Devils all missed the playoffs in the same year.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's a good one. Wow. We know the Pistons are in the playoffs. We know they're the number 1 seed. Who they play is still yet to be determined. How must the season end for you in order for it to be considered successful, or is it already? We'll get to that on the other side of X's and Bros, brought to you this hour by Avello Airlines and AvelloAir.com.
Van Andel Institute Purple Community is a grassroots fundraising network powered by the dedicated volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve human health now and in the future. When you raise funds through the Van Andel Institute Purple Community, 100% of the proceeds go directly to the Institute's research into diseases like cancer and Parkinson's, as well as VAI science education programs. Learn how you can get involved at purplecommunity.org.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI, thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Huge here for Josh Garvey and his team at Dorn Mayhew. Now, Josh oversees the West Michigan operations. Dorn Mayhew's worldwide headquarters are in Troy, Michigan, on the east side of the state. They are one of the top accounting, CPA, and business firms in the world. They continue to grow. They can help your business with any accounting, CPA, or business need you have. And also Dorn Mayhew and Josh and the West Michigan operation, they present Talking Hoops with John Beeline. We do it every Tuesday on the Huge Show through the NBA Finals. So how far will the Pistons go in the playoffs? You can hear Coach Beeline, Josh Garvey, and myself every Tuesday on the Huge Show as we talk hoops, presented by one of the world's top accounting, CPA, and business firms, Dorn Mayhew. Josh Garvey oversees the West Michigan operation. Their worldwide headquarters for Dorn Mayhew are in Troy, Michigan. What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The Huge Show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
All right, back with you here on X's and Bros on a Monday morning. We're brought to you this hour by Avello Airlines, AvelloAir.com. Pistons are, I don't even know if I'd be, do you think they're the favorite in the Eastern Conference? I'm not talking about sportsbook betting. I'm talking about fans in general, media in general. Who do you think is the favorite in the East?
I still think people would go with Boston or even Cleveland
right.
before they would go with the Pistons.
Right. I think you're 100% right. I don't think Cleveland. I do believe that more people will side with Boston. I would even argue there are some who believe that the Knicks would be more of a challenge. And I dispute that vigorously.
I agree too. I think it's more just about the names and the team at that point when people say that kind of stuff. But
yeah, and the want to. I mean,
right.
Look,
right.
Whether we like it or not, our influence in the Midwest, specifically the state of Michigan, Detroit, Grand Rapids, whatever, is minimal when it comes to trying to carve out opinions of basketball fans or maybe sports fans in general. If you look at it, think about it. Andy, you and I watch a lot of sports. You cover a lot of sports, so do I. Nationally, what are people doing? They are talking more about the Knicks. If there's a lull in sports, what is it? Bring up the Lakers or bring up the Dallas Cowboys. It literally is an uphill battle. In order for a Detroit, and not just Detroit, I would say Cleveland too. I would say Kansas City. I would say certain markets. In order for you to get to the front of the line, you've got to do something spectacular. You have got to stand out more so than anybody else. Why 60 wins doesn't do that for you? I don't know. Winning 8 of 10? I don't know. Having the best defensive efficiency rate in basketball? I don't know. Having one of the world's best players? I don't know. Having a guy who's considered one of the best and most improved player? I don't know. Why doesn't any of that do it for you? It's not like this is a franchise that hasn't won championships. Oh, that's right. New York, have they? Well, yeah, if you want to count the early 70s. Boston, I get. They bring back Jason Tatum. They have Jaylen Brown, who I think is an MVP candidate. Not the MVP, but a candidate. They have a Coach of the Year candidate, Joe Mazzulla. He's done a really good job. They have as many titles as anybody else in the history of the sport. I do understand that. They've got a really good basketball team. And if you think about it, Andy, I'm not sure how many people have looked at it from this standpoint, but if you think about it, the East it's going to be as difficult to win the East in the future as it is the West.
Yeah,
Detroit's not going anywhere.
For sure.
Boston's established. Cleveland next year will have a full season with James Harden. Atlanta has one of the more exciting offenses in all of basketball. They've got to commit on the other side. But the only 3 teams that have scored more than the Atlanta Hawks all reside in the West. It's Denver. Denver scored more points than anybody else in the league this year, 122 points per game. Then San Antonio, 120 points a game. And then Oklahoma City, 119 points per game. Then it's Atlanta with 118 and a half. So they found a recipe for success. While people thought, oh my God, you're trading these guys off your roster, specifically Trae Young, who many viewed as their, the face of the franchise. Look at what has happened. They've taken off. They haven't digressed. They've improved. I like Tyrese Maxey in Philadelphia, but I don't think they have a whole lot more. But Charlotte's an up-and-comer. The way they've played, without question, I'm not sure you're aware of this. Con Knippel had more threes in his rookie year than any rookie in history. He made more threes in a single season than Ray Allen did in any single season of his career. Does that surprise you? If I told you before the season that a 20-year-old from Duke would go out there and have more triples than one of the best three-point shooters of all time at any point in their career, would that surprise you? I bet it would.
I think it would surprise anybody. Really.
He made 273. He's not done, by the way. He's not done yet. He made 273 triples this year. Oh, he is done. I'm sorry. The season is over. They're into the play. 273, Andy. I was thinking hockey for a minute. Ray Allen, for as great as he was, and he led the league 3 times in 3-pointers made. The most he ever made in a single season was when he played in Seattle in 2006 and made 269. That's surprising, don't you think?
No, yeah, for sure. Honestly, that's not something I could have told you from this year.
Yeah, so Knippel, that team, him, Ball, and some of the other players, Miles Bridges, those guys, you would think they would be a bit of a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely.
Like, I had a conversation yesterday at the gym with a guy who says, he's convinced the Lions are going to be just fine because McNeil's going to be better. He expects Tyleik Williams to be better. He expects Ratledge to be better. And I said, just out of curiosity, I'm just wondering here, why do you expect them to be better? He said, well, because they've got a year under your belt. And I said, okay, I get that mindset. I do. I hope you're right. Didn't we think that about Terrion Arnold?
Yeah.
Did he get better?
I feel like that's not that person you were talking to at the gym. I feel like that's not the take I've heard from most fans, honestly. Like,
I know.
It seems a little stunning to me that you think that just the year does that.
Yeah, we're used to, we think that, well, you've gotten used to it now. Now you'll be better.
It doesn't always work like that.
That doesn't always work that way. No. Now, it has for a lot of Lions, Jahmyr Gibbs, right? It didn't for Sam Laporta because he was hurt, but Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell has gotten better. Brian Branch has gotten better. Amon-Ra St. Brown continues to get better. Jamison Williams got better. I understand that. I do. I mean, I think that's a wishful thinking, but it sure as hell isn't a rule.
No, I mean, you give players time, and that's sometimes is what's hard to do as a fan. But at the same time, it doesn't always mean that it's going to work out. Sometimes they just don't have it. So I think that leaves a lot of question marks more than it does, certainty.
Yeah, I said to him, just again, we were just okay. I'm not trying to be difficult here. I think sometimes when I bring up questions, people are like, God, why do you always have to look at it that way? I'm just wondering, what did Tyleik Williams do last year in 17 games and 10 starts with only 18 tackles that led you to believe he was going to be better? That's all. I think it's a fair question, not being a jackass. I'm just wondering, I'm trying to get an idea of what he means by that. When you have a defensive lineman, and I know defensive tackles are not always judged by this, when you have in your last 3 games combined have 2 tackles, and that's what it was. He had a tackle in his last game against Chicago. He had 1 tackle against Minnesota, didn't have a tackle against Pittsburgh, had 1 tackle against the Rams. He never had more than 2 tackles in any one game. He had 2 tackles for loss the entire season. What did you see? Because I would love to be able to recognize it. What did you see in the 17 games played, the 10 game starts, the 18 tackles, the never more than 2 in a single game, and only 2 tackles for loss, and 1 sack that would make you go, I think he gets it? Don't know. I didn't see that. We've seen that with members of the Pistons. It sure looks like Asar Thompson has gotten better. Sure looks like Ron Holland has taken a step up. Dennis Jenkins, there's no question he's earned playoff playing time with what he's been able to bring to the proverbial table. Jalen Duren has gotten better, has he not? Absolutely. I see the progress made there. It's a little bit more visible in basketball when you're making shots, affecting a game, rebounding and defending and steals. I mean, Asar Thompson leading the league in steals per game. Those are all really important statistics. We don't see it as much as the grinders inside in the defensive line because they're getting gobbled up by 315-pound people. Or you're taking on 2 blocks to give Jack Campbell so many tackles that he had. Right? Okay. We have noticed it in the Pistons, though. And we know that they're the 1 seed, and they're going to take on the 8 seed, and who that 8 seed is, we don't know yet. We do know it'll be Sunday at Little Caesars. Pistons are the 1 against the 8. Celtics are the 2 against the 7. Knicks will open up against the Hawks. No guarantee there. Because Atlanta can score, as we mentioned just moments ago, and the Cavs will take on the Raptors. I would be giggling my ass off if the Hawks beat the Knicks. I might take as much enjoyment as that. Well, no, not as the Pistons winning. No, that it wouldn't. But it would be pretty funny to watch people just freak out about it.
It's usually how everybody feels about the Knicks, besides the people that live there.
Yeah, and it's nothing against Jalen Brunson or Karl Anthony Towns or Mikal Bridges or Josh Hart or any of those guys. It's nothing against them, because actually I ran into them in Birmingham earlier this year, and all seemed very genuine dudes. It has to do with shutting up certain people in the media more than anything else, who are just sitting there pumping their tires, and you can't figure it out. It's not jealousy. It's just strange. How far do the Pistons have to go for you to believe that this season was more than just a regular season success?
This is a question I was asking my friends. I have a couple of friends that are pretty big Pistons fans. I was asking this weekend, and most of them said just winning the first round and then being competitive in the second round, because they don't want to get too far ahead of, the progress they're making, right? Like it feels like if they were to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, that would be a huge jump, right? I mean, I don't think there's any denying that. But my argument was maybe expectations change a little bit if the regular season means anything, because you won 60 games. So I think
how do expectations not change for you?
So that's what I don't understand, and that's what I was trying to say to them.
Yes. That blows my mind.
It
really does.
It feels like
it blows my mind that somebody can actually say, after winning 60 games, that as long as we win a playoff series against fill in the blank, okay, whoever, the Sixers, I'm good with that. The Sixers are into the playoffs. Well, I guess it wouldn't be the Sixers, would it? Because it's the Celtics against the 7 seed. Detroit would be the worst team. You're playing the Miami Heat, for crying out loud, as the 10 seed. You beat them, you're satisfied. As long as you beat them, you're good to go.
That's crazy to me.
After winning 60 games.
Even when you think back to last year, they were so close to beating the Knicks. Like, I feel like they shouldn't be. Right. And with the progress they've shown this year and they've made, I don't understand how you could be satisfied with anything less than an Eastern Conference Final appearance at the very least.
Makes no sense to me whatsoever. In other words, last year you were okay because the Tigers beat the Guardians in the first round of the playoffs. In the wild card series, they won. So getting to the ALDS was good enough for you.
A lot of times with fans, I feel like you're supposed to, some fans think you're overall supposed to be more hopeful and have more positivity for just where they made it to. And I think sometimes that's the problem. Like, if you don't have expectations for championships and getting further, I don't really understand what your goal is when you're cheering for the team as a fan anyway.
Yes. Everybody feels like it has to be linear, and it's not. It's not the way it works. Just because you win the division and then you win a playoff series, that means the next year you're going to get to the next level, right? To the conference semis. That's not. You got 60 wins. Think about it this way. I don't know if this will convince your friends or not. You got 60 wins. You got the coach of the year. You got a top 5 player. You got a top 10 player in Jalen Duren, a top 5 at his position. You have a top 5 point guard, maybe the best. You have a top 5 center. You have an elite low perimeter or low post, I should say, low post defender in Isaiah Stewart. You have an elite perimeter defender in Asar Thompson. You have the best defensive efficiency in the NBA. And you're telling me that one playoff series would be good enough for you? Other teams are on the come in the coming years, and you think one playoff series? I want, and I think it's fair to say, as long as they're in that position, if you're expecting the Red Wings next year, they got to win the Stanley Cup to be. That's not realistic. But when the Pistons go from 14 to 44 to 60 wins with this type of talent and this type of coaching and this type of depth and this type of philosophy and the way they've played all year long, to just say, I'm good with one playoff series, to me, is short-sighted. For me, this is just my opinion. They've got to get to the Eastern Conference Finals.
100%. I mean, this is like, to me, it's the same thing as when the Lions went 15-2 and made the playoffs. If they would have just they didn't beat the Commanders, but if they would have beat the Commanders, you're telling me that you would have been satisfied with that?
Hell no.
After what they did the year before? That's where it's crazy to me that.
Well, the only difference there, Andy, is the year before they made it to the NFC.
Yes, they did. They made it to the NFC Championship game, but that, so yes, obviously the Pistons didn't do anything like that. I just think with the progress they're making, like even regular season wise for the Lions that year, they had so much confidence going into that. You had so much confidence in them that they could go far going into that postseason. I feel like you have to feel that way right now about the Pistons. I don't know how you couldn't after watching them.
It's about the talent you have on your team too. I said this a year ago. Were the Tigers the best team in the division? Did they have the most talent, I should say? No question.
Yeah.
They had the best manager and they had the deepest talent. And they didn't get it done. And
we're not the only people that say that either. Like other people said that about them.
Yeah, I would hope so. I thought it was a failure. I truly felt they needed to go to the American League Championship Series for it to be a successful season. This is easy for me to say. I'm sitting in a chair, for crying out loud. I'm not playing. I'm not facing a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. I don't know what it's like to face a 94-mile-an-hour slider. Okay, I get all that. But I'm talking about expectations for team. It's okay to have high expectations for your teams because your teams have those expectations. Your teams are good. You've got great players on your team. You do. Cade Cunningham's a great player. Jalen Duren is becoming a great player. Asar Thompson's a great defender. Isaiah Stewart's a great defender. Eastern Conference Finals is what determines whether or not this team has had a successful season. They are better than Cleveland. They're better than the Knicks. They're better than the Hawks. They're better than the Raptors. They're better than the Hornets and the Heat and the Magic of the Sixers. Don't tell me that if you get to the Eastern Conference Finals and you lose to anybody other than the Celtics, you won't be bummed. You would be. It's a good conversation, though. Appreciate you giving us some time here on the Michigan Sports Network. Appreciate Andy McDonald, Mitch Lyons, and you for the opportunity to spend a little bit of your Monday morning with us. We're back with you tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock here on X's and Bros. Don't forget the huge show later today, 5 o'clock or 3 till 7 here on these great station affiliates. Have a great Monday, everybody.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kirk Gibson, who we are proud to support and partner with on the newly opened Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness.
Thanks, Mitch. We appreciate your support, and we are excited to have recently opened the center in Farmington Hills. It provides exercise therapy and educational programs that are helping the Parkinson's community. Just like Mitch Lyons Wealth helps improve the quality for their clients' retirements. This center helps improve the quality of life for people with Parkinson's.
And Gibby, the best part of all is that access to the center is available to the Parkinson's community free of charge, right?
That's right. Absolutely free of charge for people with Parkinson's and their care partners.
You hit a couple of the most famous home runs in Major League history, Gibby, but I feel that your greatest hit will be the positive impact the Kirk Gibson Center is making in the fight against Parkinson's.
Mitch, since my diagnosis, I get up every day and focus on winning that day. This center encourages others to do the same.
Awesome, Gibby. To learn more, go to kirkgibsoncenter.org.
In the Den with Dan Dickerson.
Hey, Tigers fans, a new baseball season means a new season on Michigan's favorite island destination, Mackinac Island. Baseball, spring, and Mackinac Island. Things that return every year remind